Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a necklace and a pair of earrings today, and I'm going to use some of the beads that came in the most recent Potomac Beads Treasure Edition subscription box, the one for October 2023. It's called Ghoulish Goodies. I'll put a link in the corner of this video and in the description box below to the unboxing video I did for this subscription in case you want to watch it, where I go into a little bit more detail about all the different things that came in the box. And I'll also leave a link in the description box below to the page of the Potomac Beads website where you can read about both subscriptions that they have and where you can subscribe if you're interested. They have, this is the Treasure Edition, the one I get. They also have a Kit Edition. I think in that one you get 3 different projects each month with everything included that you need to make whatever the projects are. But the one I get is the Treasure Edition. In here I have the Czech glass pressed square beads, and the color is Fire Swirl. And here I have the Potomac crystal bicones. They're 4mm, and the color is Light Peridot. And here I have some findings. I have a lobster clasp and some jump rings, 2 wire guards, 2 2x2 crimp tubes, a little piece of extender chain, one of the 4mm crystal Potomac crystal bicones in hyacinth that was in the box, and a ball head pin that I'm going to put the little bicone on and hang off the extender chain as a dangle. That's all I'm going to do as far as chain. I'm not going to put any chain on the back of it like I usually do. I'm trying to make this a shorter necklace than what I usually make. And here's what I'm going to use for my earrings. I found these 2 larger squares in my Czech glass mix that came in the box, and they're just like the smaller squares. So I'm going to use those for my earrings, and some of the smaller squares and some of the Light Peridot bicones. I've got a couple of ball head pins, a couple of fishhook ear wires in there. I've got a couple of pieces of my 22 gauge German style wire that I'm going to be using for the earrings. I'm using some Miyuki 11-0 silver seed beads as spacers to space out the beads. I'm using my Soft Flex beading wire in fine, and this is 21 strand, and the color is satin silver. I'm using my bead stoppers, my chain nose pliers, my tweezer pliers, my round nose pliers, both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers, both pairs of my crimping pliers, and both pairs of my cutters. And I have my little New Orleans shot glass to put my wires in when I cut them off. I think that's everything. I'm going to go ahead and string up the necklace so that y'all don't have to sit here and watch me string up all these tiny little seed beads and things. And when I come back, I'll show you what my pattern is, and I'll crimp it, and then we'll put the findings on, and then after that we'll make the earrings. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, this is what I've got now. This is just a really simple pattern. I've got seed beads between all the beads, and I've got 3 of my square beads, 1 of my green bicones, 3 of my square beads. And I've got that. I've done 7 sections of the square beads. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I have a bicone. And then I have 5 of my square beads. And then I have exactly the same thing on the other side. 7 sections of my square beads with bicones between. And now I'm going to crimp it. So I've got my, let me zoom in just a tiny bit here. I've got my crimp tube here. I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to put my wire guardian on, and then I'm going to go down the other channel of my wire guardian, back through my crimp tube, I'm going to tuck my little wire guardian in a little bit. I'm going to hold my wires apart, keep them from getting separate, or keep them from getting crossed. I keep them separated, because we want each of the wires to land in its own little channel here. When we crimp it, we want to separate them, and it won't do that if they're crossed. So now I'm going to take these crimping pliers, and I'm going to take the part that's got the tooth there, and I'm going to lay the tooth on top. I'm going to squeeze. And that puts each little wire in its own little channel there. Now I'm going to go in this part up here. There's 3 half circles on each side. I'm going to go into the one in the middle because that's the one for the 2x2 crimp tubes. I'm going to lay my crimp in there, squeeze, and I'm going to go down and squeeze a little bit more. And now I'm going to tug. That's good. So now I'm going to take my cutters and cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to push all this down, and I've still got it on the spool here. I usually just leave it on the spool because I think maybe I don't waste hardly as much if I do that. So now I'm going to cut it off the spool. Make sure to leave enough wire to work with because I have often made the mistake of cutting the wire too short, and then it's a real struggle to crimp this side because it's harder to crimp this side anyway because the beads are in the way and everything. So now I'm going to put my crimp tube on this side and my wire guardian. It's not cut very good on the end there. Wire guardian won't go through easy if it's not got a good flush cut. Now I'm going to put my wire guardian on. Go back through the other channel of my wire guardian. Back into my crimp tube. Okay, now I'm going to tuck my wire guardian in a little bit here. And then I try to go through a bead on this side to get my hands out of the way when I'm crimping. Plus, if you don't do this, your little wire guardian is kind of lopsided when you get it done. It's not exactly centered over that last bead. I'm trying to push that through. Hold on to my wire guardian and pull my wire through. Make sure not to let my wires get crossed. And mine look like they're trying to be crossed, so I gotta try to uncross them here. Okay, now I'm gonna pull it through until there's no slack in my piece, but I don't want it to be too tight either. And I usually leave it coiled up like this, and that helps keep it from being too tight. Now I'm going to just turn around here so I can see what I'm doing. Go and take my crimping pliers and use the part with the tooth again. Lay the tooth on top. Squeeze. Now I'm going to go into the part with the half circles. Into the middle one. Squeeze. And go down, squeeze a little bit more. Probably not necessary to do that extra squeeze, but I just do to have a little extra peace of mind. Now I'm going to tug. That's good. So now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. So here, let me zoom back out again now. So that's what I've got now. So now, hold on and I'll get my clasp and everything to put on here and I'll be back. Okay, so now I've got a 4mm jump ring here. Then I'm going to open up and put my lobster clasp on here. It's a good idea to always check your lobster clasps before you put them on, because sometimes they get stuck and they don't, the little trigger doesn't move. And I have many times got it on my piece and everything, and then started to put it together and find out that my lobster clasp is defective and had to take it off and do it over. So I'm going to close up my jump ring really well. Now on this side I have an 8mm jump ring. I'm going to open it up. Put it on this side. Put my little piece of extender chain on here. Close it back up really well. So this is what I've got. This is what I've got so far. So now I'm going to make my little dangle to go on my extender chain here. I'm going to take my ball head pin and my little 4mm hyacinth colored bicone. I'm going to take my pliers, go to the very tip of the pliers, bend over at a 90-degree angle, take my round nose pliers, put them in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back until it hits the bead, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, hold on tight, take this part up and under here until it hits the bottom of the tool, cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead, bent chain nose pliers, hold on to my loop, bring my wire down a little bit here. I'll take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. I'll make sure to get that first wrap in under the loop and not over the bottom of the loop. And I'm just going to keep wrapping until there's no more room to wrap. And I forgot again. I know y'all are out there hollering at me. You're forgetting to wire wrap it directly to your extender chain, and I did. I do that all the time. Sometimes I catch myself, but a lot of the times I don't. So I'm going to have to put this on with the jump ring. So I'm going to take these crimping pliers, and I use the half circle on each end to tuck in my burrs when I cut off the wire. Got to be careful when you do it with these little bicones here because they can really easily break. I have a 4mm jump ring, an extra one out here that I don't know. I guess I counted wrong, so I guess I'll use it to put my little dangle on here that I forgot to wire up directly to the extender chain. Put a little dangle on here. Hang it on my extender chain. Why I have such a hard time remembering that, I do not know, but I do. I forget it all the time. So this is what I've got now. My necklace. So hold on and I'll get these earrings and make a really quick and easy pair of earrings. I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to make a little earring now. I'll take my ball head pin and I'm going to put my big square on here. I'm going to take my pliers. I'm going to go to the very tip of the pliers. Bend over at a 90-degree angle. Take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend. Round nose pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this part under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers, hold on to my loop, bring this wire down a little bit, and I'm going to try to make it tight where my square won't move. It probably will anyway, but I'm going to try. So I'm going to take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. Make sure to get that first wrap in under the loop and not over the top of the bottom of the loop. Now I'm going to go about 4. I usually just do about 3, but I'm going to go about 4 to try to get it tight so that my square won't move. And I would like my square to face the same way my loop is facing, but it's probably going to spin around anyway. I can't hardly get it tight enough to keep it from doing that. I'm going to cut off my extra wire, take my crimping pliers and tuck in the little burr that's left. And it's moving around on me even though I tried to get it tight. Now I'm going to take my piece of 22 gauge German style wire. I'm going to go down about 1.5 inches. Bend over at a 90-degree angle. Put around those pliers in the crook of the bend. Bend the wire back until it hits the tool. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take the short piece of wire under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the wire. I'm going to open my loop, thread on my little dangle I've made here, close my loop. I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring this wire down. I'm going to wrap the short piece of wire around the long piece of wire about 3 times. Now I'm going to take my cutters and cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to take a bicone, a seed bead, a smaller square, a seed bead, and another bicone. I'm going to take my pliers and I want to make this loop opposite the way this one down here is facing. That one down there is facing sideways, so I want this one to face the other way. So I'm going to I'll go to the very tip of my pliers. I need to straighten this up. Go to the very tip of my pliers. Bend over at a 90-degree angle. Round those pliers in the crook of the bend. Bend the wire back until the loop is, or until it hits the beads. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this part and under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the beads. I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers, hold on to my loop, bring this down, and I want this square to face the same way as this square, so I'm going to try to get it oriented the way I want it, and then I'm going to try to wrap it tight too so that it won't move, but I don't know how successful I'm going to be. So I'm going to take my pliers and start wrapping here. Yeah, I think they're both facing the same way. I'm going to take my cutters and cut off my extra wire. Take my crimping pliers and tuck in my little burrs. Really gently so that I don't break my bicones. Now I'm going to open up my ear wire. And put it on my ear wire. Close it up. So there's my little earring. Well, you can't see it. So hold on, let me get the other one made and I'll be back. Okay, so there's my necklace and pair of earrings made using some of the beads that came in the most recent Potomac Beads Treasure Edition subscription box. The one called Ghoulish Goodies. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description box below that will take you to the page of the Potomac Beads website that tells you all about both subscriptions and how they work and where you can subscribe if you're interested. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.